first day of the Grand Finals have arrived at the FACEIT Global Summit. After a nail-biting elimination stage yesterday, 16 of the world's best PUBG teams join us to fight for our glorious trophy and our championship title. And there's still one more chance for you to join us here at the ICC Auditorium at XL London. Head to faceitglobalsummit.com to secure your tickets to witness some of the best PUBG teams duke it out.
Four teams apiece from Korea's PKL and North America's MPL. 3 regions from different corners of the globe fighting to win the Battle of Pochinki. Just 2 days remain of explosive PUBG action. But only one team will be crowned the FACEIT Global Summit champion. Yes, the countdown has well and truly kicked off. And we're here live at the ICC Auditorium at London's XL. Yes, London! As we find out which of our 16 teams will prove that their country is the best on the planet at playing PUBG. My name is Frankie Ward, and I, for one, think it might be a little bit too close to call at the moment. But what do you guys at home think? Let us know using the hashtag FACEIT Global Summit. And what about you, London? Are you ready to royale? Come on, London. I said, are you ready to royale? I think they might be a little bit excited. And I know 3 boys who definitely love a chicken dinner, and they're always hungry for more. It's Kalaris, Toffees, and Avenger.
That's indeed correct. We are here as 24 teams have indeed descended onto London. Now only 16 teams remain here to find out who becomes our Global Summit champion. Welcome to the analysis desk. I'm Kalaris, and to my right-hand side, as always, I have Toffees and Avenger. Gentlemen, we've had 4 days leading up to this, our group stage, as well as sudden death elimination, and all of these teams have not disappointed along the road. We have 16 of the very best.
Frankie knows me well. I am always hungry. And we have had a buffet of phenomenal PUBG over the last 4 days rather, the sort of groups and eliminations, and now I'm ready for a feast of the finest play in the entire world. We have 16 of the best and brightest, and I don't know who comes out on top here because favorites like ENCE didn't make it, so that opens the doors for anyone to prove that they are number one.
Yeah, and yesterday we saw 16 teams. You would think that they were the weakest teams, but to be honest, yesterday was absolutely amazing. We saw 17 Gaming absolutely frag out. I'm really curious to see what they're able to do here today as well.
I'm very curious as well, of course, as I say, all of our 16 teams have absolutely earned their spots here to try and call themselves the FACEIT Global Champion. And of course, they're all sitting very comfortably here to start things off in their Vertigear chairs here for the FACEIT Global Summit as well. So a big thank you to them for joining us along the road here for the PUBG Classic. Now, let's check in with the format to see exactly how everybody has got here and what is to come. We started with 24 teams. All of those teams came from their regions, be it PEL, MPL, PKL, etc., and they found themselves here. From those 24 teams, we divided them into 3 groups where they played head-to-head, 8 teams in each of those groups until we whittled it down to a top 8, which instantly advanced on to the grand finals. After that, we had a sudden death round where the last 16 teams had one last opportunity to move into that grand finals with the points carried over from the group stage into that sudden death round. And in that sudden death round, Toffees, we saw a lot of explosive action and some teams really rise to the occasion to push themselves firmly into the grand finals.
The general consensus from the players is we loved this format. It gave everyone a chance to have access to that $150,000 grand prize, but to get to any of that money, you had to make it through eliminations. And I think that they learned a valuable lesson. Too many teams depended on the idea that I have to have a good start to set the stage for a great tournament, and were not prepared when they had a bad start. I need to see more teams take that tempo stance, which was after 3 really bad games, they were still able to pull it back in, buck up, and play their game. If you start slow, you have to still stick to your original game plan. You can't edit that because you're low on points.
I think what talks to me as well was there was one team that was able to make 128 points NIP in 12 games, and only one team actually caught up to them in the total of 18 games. That talks to how impressive it was and how important it is to kind of explode from the beginning and make sure you have a great start.
Definitely. Let's take a look at our 16 teams now coming into the grand final. And for my money, this is one of the most stacked tournaments in PUBG history with the amount of teams and power that are behind some of these teams. Guys, talk to me about whatever you like when it comes to these 16 teams, because it's so impressive.
I'm extremely excited to see that we were able to have 4 North American teams, 4 Korean teams, and so many representatives from so many other regions as well. I'm really happy to see this. So half of these regions are coming from 2 of our leagues, the pro leagues. So half of the teams here, very amazing to see them be kind of stacked from just 2 regions. What I'm going to take away from this is I'm happy to see OP Gaming here because they struggled in the group stage. They really made a comeback yesterday, and I think they're going to be having a lot of momentum coming in today just because of their yesterday's performance.
Big shout out to the SEA region who had 2 teams make the cut. Some expected 1, if that. Oceania, another region, a lot of people said they're probably not going to make the cut, and they did it in style. So what I've been impressed with is the cut, and the teams that you see on the screen in front of you shows how big the growth of PUBG has been, how this new league ecosystem spread across the globe has developed individual regional talent and made it hard for champions like OMG, who are legends in PUBG, to even get here.
Yeah, indeed. It's almost like a lot of these teams in their regions been practicing effectively kind of a hyperbolic time chamber area to be able to then come to our kind of global and then be able to perform at even a higher level of what we saw from like PGI in 2018, which was a stacked tournament, but now it's even at a higher level here in PUBG.
As we're talking about chambers, you bring up the hyperbolic because performance has enhanced, but the opposite side of that could be an issue for some of these regions. The echo chamber of only playing, scrimming, and training with the same teams over and over again. Remember, PUBG is different. It's not like your traditional esports where 2 teams scrim each other and maybe don't see each other very often. 16 teams have to play all the time, every day. That means you start to rely on knowledge, tricks, habits that you gain when you play in those scrims, or you play in those tournaments, or you play in those leagues, and we've seen that be a problem. STK and Envy destroyed each other constantly during the pre-groups. We saw the same thing come out of Europe, and I would say that's probably why ENCE isn't here right now, because they kept coming up against European teams because they thought European.
Let's take a look at our 5 players to watch here to start things off for our grand finals, of course, and kind of talk about some of the topics that revolve around potentially them as an individual as well as the teams that they do inhabit, as we have some big names to talk about. NIP came out as first place in the group stage. Gaxi looked very impressive. Needless to say, quite Unleashed Avenger. Very good stuff coming out from Gaxi and NIP.
So Gaxi was absolutely amazing. In just 12 games, he accrued an amazing amount of frags. And just because of this and how he played and his kind of aggression throughout this, put them where they were just after 12 days. So I'm really curious to see if he can step up and continue his fragging capabilities, because I'm really sure that he's going to be in our top 3 once we're done with the grand final.
I was very impressed with him, but I want to give it to the second guy on that list. A big shout out to Show. He's come here, he has showed up, and with his partner Shox, they've been unstoppable. 17 Gaming, some people like to call him the little zoo, because all of the guys, Show is the tiger for the team. He's fierce, he's unstoppable. Shox means Phoenix, and he always rises up when the team needs him to. Then you got Monkey King, and of course, last but not least, the little fish. These guys work together, fight together, train together, and you have seen outrageous performances from them here today.
They're extremely impressive, especially in our sudden death round, so we're expecting big things of them maybe coming into our top 16. Another player here is Hulk, and of course he resides on a team that are my boys, VSG, who are going to take the world title. If I've got anything to say about it, I probably don't, I have no influence, but overall Hulk has been pretty amazing when it comes to VSG.
VSG put in a lot of effort, especially here in the first 2 days. I think they were amazing, putting themselves in this second and third day, and I think they put in a lot of effort just based off how they played together and how they stayed together as a unit. Hulk as well, I mean, this guy is clutching against some of the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, take a look right here as he comes up over the shot against Armory Gaming, hits the headshot every time. I'm ready to say Hulkamania, brother, because this guy knows how to bring it, and he's leading his team to what could be a top 3, or if you get your way, a number 1.
I'm all for that. What are you going to do when VSG runs wild on you? As we have a few more players, of course, to talk about. Sharky is the guy that has stood out as well when it comes to how he's been performing with his team.
Sharky has been an absolutely phenomenal pickup for Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm was a good team at the start. They've been together for a long time. Once upon a time, if you tell the story, Tempo Storm added Zampa from Cornhuskers, but they needed that little last piece, that ultra fragger, and they finally found him in Sharky, and he has been perfect to turn a Storm into a regular Sharknado.
All right, let's take a look at the schedule here. We have 3 maps of Erangel to start things off, and then later we will be going to Miramar. A bit of a change up here from our group stages as well as elimination, as we're starting on the grassy knolls and then heading to the deserts afterwards. All 16 teams looking for an opportunity here to grab as many points as possible. Remember out there, all points from group stages and elimination have been reset to 0. Everyone starts at the same spot here, so we can crown ourselves our Global Summit champion.
I mean, you brought it up best. We're starting on Erangel. It's a bit of a different change in format. Last time for group stages, we started in Miramar. I thought that would be a big advantage for the North American and Korean teams specifically. It's the opposite side of that. And if Americans know anything, grassy knolls are a risky thing for us to have to deal with. So they're going to have to play careful, smart, and try to pick up points in a stacked environment.
Look who's joining us here. We have D-Man and Scoom as well. Here are our experts behind the scenes, keeping an eye on some of the action that's going on. Are you excited for the grand finals?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really interested to see how this is going to work, because obviously we've got a lot of teams that have been dropping in similar locations. Now, there have been changes. Obviously, we saw Team Liquid this morning saying they want to win the tournament, they're going to make adjustments, and that has proved it so far in the scrimmages this morning. Remember, both on Miramar and on Erangel, we have a lot of teams. Miramar, San Martin's a very hot place. Pachinki, of course, been hot. But those adjustments have, of course, also other bumping teams. So we've suddenly got other clashes on other parts of the map we wouldn't normally expect.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, coming in, we're going to be playing Erangel. It's going to be a change of pace for some teams. They've been starting Miramar. Miramar, there's been less clashes, like Demon has been saying. Erangel is more clash heavy. So I'm curious to how teams will start with these clashes. And another thing I want to talk about, that you guys on the desk have been mentioning, that this is the most stacked event that we have seen. And I want to emphasize on what Toffees has been saying, that regions are getting better each time. So every tournament that we're seeing, the quality of competition is just going to be greater and greater. And I'm really curious to see how this final is going to.
And Martin hit on it right at the start. Just, you know, a good start here is so important. We saw it in the groups. All the teams that did really well were the ones that had early wins. It's going to be vitally important and see how they can adjust to some of these potential new clashes.
And for me, vitally important to check in with you later on to see how some of the action is going to be playing out throughout the games. Thank you very much, gentlemen, here. As, of course, we're going to continue discussing how all of these 8-16 teams shape up against one another. It's the start of the Grand Finals. It's the start of day number 1 here of the Grand Finals, guys. I want to get your opinions as to who you think's going to take it all. You're the analyst, Des. You're the experts. I want your take on how it's going to go down. Martin, I'm starting with you.
So if we see a win from 17 Gaming in these first 3 games, I think they're going to take the whole thing. If they don't, I think they're going to go on to the top 5. I think they're going to be doing good there. The same for Liquid. If they take a win in one of these first 3 games, I think they could definitely be taking the whole thing away.
It wouldn't be an international tournament without Toffee's throwing his weight behind Liquid, I think. I mean, at the end of the day, though, they are playing very well. It seems like they finally have gotten sort of the knack of the new lineup, and they came out blazing and hit one of the biggest point totals I think we saw out of the entire group stages in one day. So I think Liquid has a very, very high upside here. But if Ninjas in Pajamas continues the crazy level of play they exhibited on day 1, if they do come out, if they get that a Northern Circle on game 1 in Erangel, their home turf, South George, it'll put them on a track to take this thing home.
Sure, and we all know who I think is going to win. But beyond all of that, I think that I want to ask you guys about how this shake-up of map to map changes things, obviously, because we have had some teams that have been able to perform better on Erangel. Maybe that gives them a bit more motivation going into the later stages. How do you think this shakes up things?
We already had a debate in our green room.
It was heated, to say the least.
And it was a little bit heated. So in my opinion, and this is obviously purely my opinion, I think that on Erangel, it's much more equal. Everybody has thousands of hours on this map, and I think it's going to be a lot more equal. But Toffees, on the other hand, he thinks that the Europeans have a little bit of an advantage there, and I'm not sure I agree. I like the idea, but yeah, you can kind of elaborate on it.
When Miramar first came out, I think that some of the other smaller regions in North America like sort of wanted to embrace it a little bit sooner. Europe pushed back against it initially, so I think that some of those teams have more hours trained there. At this stage, I think most of the regions are very even, but I don't think they think that way. I think mental advantage is a big deal. So for North American teams, when we jump to Miramar, they mentally say, this is our map. Like, we can do better, we can crush it here. And I think that you cannot overstate how valuable just thinking you have an advantage really is in getting your head back in the game.
It makes a lot of sense. It definitely does, especially since what we've seen here throughout the elimination stages as well as the group stages, they have those kinds of shakeups. Who do you think it benefits most when it comes to, obviously we had our elimination teams playing yesterday. Obviously maybe they're kind of still a little bit warm off some of those games, and the reset of points certainly helps some of those teams keep motivation as well, right?
So I think, yes, and I think teams like 17, for instance, 17 likes to go middle. They're not going to be allowed to this time around. So having the mentality of, say, going to Miramar and adjusting to be able to sort of make up for bad rotations by hiding in, cracks is going to help them a lot. And the reset points means no one's terrified of NIP anymore.
Final thoughts?
For me, it's definitely these kind of this transitions into where you drop, because there's these teams that have been doing extremely well. They have been dropping in center locations. If they are forced to go out on some of the edge plays on Miramar and Pochinki, we saw GMC posted a picture of My City's Russia on this T-shirt, right? And this talks to how important it is for Liquid to stay in a center location because it's close to their kind of usual rotations. So if some of these teams that are forced a long way out, they're going to be struggling from that.
Final thoughts, Toffees?
My big final thought is big game 1. If you can come out and put up a huge number on 1, it's going to propel you. You've only got 12 games to be the new classic champion here, and you want to start strong.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be very, very exciting here for the global finals, as we do have the amazing lineup of teams that we do have, even some underdogs as well, that we'll get an awful lot of chance to be able to talk about here in between the games. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It is time for the first game here of the grand final stage, as all 16 teams look to start accruing points. We are heading over to the commentary team here, as we have Paperthin and Matrim. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Kolaris. And here we are. We've got an MPL caster, and then we've got a Korean caster over here. We've got essentially half the lobby as our teams. We got a little bit of EU biased over there on the analyst desk, minus Kolaris. But now we've been friends now. This is the first time casting together. Now do we have to hate each other? Is this the way it works?
I think we should embrace the fact that our two regions did the best in the group stages and the elimination stage, and let's just roll with that. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't other teams. I'm definitely curious to see how they do. I've really got my eye on Armory Gaming, the Thailand team. They played out of their minds on the last day of the group stage to get into here. So if they can continue being hot like that, they have a real shot at doing something special.
I love my NA boys, but I also got to give a shout out to 4 a.m. They are a team that I'm going to have my eyes on. Those guys are just absolutely dominant whenever they get into some fights. So here we go. Plane is up in the air, and VSG already jumped out.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. VSG pretty much owns Primorsk if they want it, depending on the plane path. Now, the real question is, who's going Pachinki? What else is going on? Because I have talked to some of these teams backstage, and I got a lot of different answers from different teams. So I'm not going to say anything. I just want to see how it pans out.
We've had if you guys are just now tuning in, it's been kind of a contest, we shall say, for Pachinki. We've had 3 different teams that have just absolutely loved dropping there. It has been Team Liquid, 17 Gaming, and Cloud9. But with what you can see, you can already see Cloud9 actually playing around military base, making a little bit of push off to the side of that. Also, Force making a modification, not going Milta along the same path. They might be going for vehicles and vying for that so that way they can make the rush over there, but looks like Pachinki's still going to have 2 people calling it home.
Yeah, yesterday we saw Entis Force split between Novo and Milta, so we'll see what they opt to do here. Of course, OP Gaming Rangers owns the military base, winning that chicken dinner in the final game to propel themselves into these grand finals. And we do have Team Liquid and 17 both dropping Pachinki today. We'll see if they opt to fight each other there. Oh my
here we
goodness.
go. That's the type of circle I want to get started with. Military base. If you guys didn't tune in yesterday, we had a pretty feisty military base game to get started with. Sure, we know the players hate it, but it's so fun for us to watch.
It really was a lot of fun, and I got to give a lot of credit to Team Windstrike, who made a great rotation yesterday, a late rotation onto the western edge of Sosnovka Island, and got a second place and secured themselves a spot here in the top 8 of the elimination stage to get to the finals.
Before anybody goes crazy, I know PlayerUnknown yesterday was talking about how the fact that, oh yeah, you guys want a military base circle, and it ended up being military base. He's actually here in the crowd, so we know the fact that it is not any like PlayerUnknown shenanigans that are happening here. But here we go. Team Liquid looking back over towards 17 Gaming. A little bit of an exchange back and forth. That's going to be Shocks under fire, but no real scary stuff happening yet.
Yeah, Gene's taking a little bit of damage, trying to see if he can find something with those iron sights on the M24 or his M4. Not much doing. Okay, General getting caught a little bit in transition here by Profi. Getting a headshot onto General is Profi, but nothing else doing with that barrel.
General did go off to the side of this, but really this should separate out. Just going to go underneath the bridge there, get a little bit more space. This is an interesting switch up from we got Cloud9 over in this spot. Force has had to reposition, as well as Armory Gaming already trying to make the cross down. The problem with it is Cloud9 hasn't really had a chance to loot yet, so they kind of want to go for a commitment on some type of bridge camp, but really can't get anything out of it. Really, they're just trying to defend this location and make sure nobody rotates into it.
I love the early rotation here from Armory Gaming. Getting across that bridge before C9 has a chance to set up, possibly set up a pick, or another team coming through there as well. So this is really smart. They're moving on to the western edge of the island. I think this is really intelligent.
There is no way to overstate how important it is whenever there is a really rough circle. If you are one of the teams that just really likes to play around positions and tactics, moving early and trying to get into one of those spots, great modification coming out from Armory Gaming, just like you're saying, hey, let's just get ahead of the curve here and go where we think is strong and get it first. Worry about loot later. Position is king for them.
Yeah, it looks like Team Liquid will be the first ones to leave Pachinki here. They've got a lot of members in that UAZ, I believe. Is that all 4 in there in that UAZ?
Well, it's never a good situation whenever you have a ton of people all loaded up inside of one vehicle. We saw a couple of shots going back and forth between some boats yesterday, but you can see it's VSG already making their push over to the side. Starlord not with them, I guess, still kind of looking around, seeing if he can find any other boats, because that is a big factor in this. We haven't really had a chance throughout this series to talk about the attrition war too much. In circles like this, it's really big. Every single boat that gets picked up, if you can take out vehicles, you can see them kind of hanging out in the water over there, just try to deny as much utility as you can from other teams. Take out tires, take out boats, make it to where everybody has to crawl or swim or go over bridges, and it is just so hard for them.
Right, exactly. And STK probably has the most difficult rotation to make, since they like to drop up on the northern end on the Severny. They're pretty much one of our only teams that's going to be going north here. We do have Airwolves 1 in North Georgia Pole, but really the northern part of Erangel is SDK's to own today.
Gonna have to see if any teams commit to staying towards the north of the canal and just kind of hanging out over there. You can see Envy, looks like they found themselves a boat and just crashing into the water as well. A lot of rotations coming through. I wouldn't be surprised if we see A1 shoot to kill and NIP just perfectly content to take some blue damage. Let the chaos of this early rotation come in, try to find out where the second circle is going to go and capitalize off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those situations where it's not the end of the world to take blue damage. A lot of teams do that anyway. That's kind of their normal MO. But here you can see Envy is getting in a boat. They are way up by Kameshki, by the way, and they are going to have a long trip down there. You're going to need a couple gas cans to get all the way over to Sosnovka Island.
It's going to be a bit, you know, might have to pull up the paddles at a certain point and just kind of like do that last little push to get over there. But one last little boat hanging out right underneath the bridge, but let's be honest, that's almost a death trap as well. And I love the fact that the observers are showing us where the different boats are, so that way we can see if rotations go into play on top of this, because that's a big thing. Finding out where everybody could be potentially going, because you have these different funnel points on a map like this. Like, you often look at the bridges, but where boats are could be very big. There's that easy path where you can kind of go off the cliff in your vehicles and swim across just smack right in the middle of everything. But here you go, you got 4AM taking a couple of shots back over towards Team Liquid. But I think that they managed to run the first part of that gauntlet. Tempo Storm was back behind it, heard it, and I don't think that they want to go that direction anymore.
Yeah, a lot of teams trying to make their way across that western bridge. C9 looking to see if they can find an angle onto those teams. Nerf here, he's picking up an AK, and K-Mind has got that a mini 14, and he is ready to do it.
This is so dangerous for Liquid. They are all rolling right together. 3 of them inside of one vehicle, but nobody gets the shots off onto them. They rotate into where Cloud9 was just at, and Cloud9 wasn't set to take the shots for it, so they managed to get away with that. That could have been just a disaster for them if anybody was in the right position to take those shots.
Yep, and fortunately for Team Liquid, they were able to get in safely across the bridge. K-Mine just doing some recon here, letting his teammates know what Team Liquid is doing. VSG has made their way to the southern edge of Sosnovka Island. Now AG has started to group around there as well, so there might be a clash between those two teams coming up. Incognito has landed at Novo safely. They're the only ones over there.
Surprising, we've seen kind of a calm military base rotation so far. Nobody was really in the strong positions to go for kills. It looks like everybody was just kind of playing a little bit more defensive and more worried about where this next circle goes. 17 Gaming, you can see shoots a kill. Airwolves 1 and NIP, man, they are just, whatever. We'll let the chaos happen. We don't even care about it. But VSG making a push back over here next to Armory Gaming.
Yeah, Armory has 2 members here, General and Han Boya, set up. The other 2 members, they're doing a bit of a 2-2, well, it's actually like a 2-1-2 split, so they're a little bit off are the other members of Armory Gaming. We'll see if VSG opts to try to push in here. You can see on the middle part of your screen there that Tempo Storm is making their way from Ferry Pier over to the island as well. So this has been a pretty non-aggressive military circle. We haven't seen anybody really try to gatekeep anybody too hard.
This isn't kind of surprising. Remember, we had the leaderboard reset, so everybody is really just playing for position and survival at this point. I mean, it's almost like we're playing a battle royale, so everybody's going for that survival stage. Sure, kills are going to be what really propel people through the system and get a lot of points, but right now everybody's just trying to play for position. OP Rangers is running a very interesting split. If you can see, they've got 2-1-1, but that's a long split across the southern part of that road.
Yeah, Babo is way out there, a little bit different than the split they ran yesterday when the circle came Sosnovka Island. Now, granted, that circle was hard shifted to the west edge of Sosnovka Island, so they're trying to cover a little more ground. And you can see, like I was saying, AG, they've got a 2-1-1 split here. Duckmans is in the middle of the military base.
Windstrike and No Rush to make their way over as well. 4AM, they've got their bridge camp firmly set, but not a lot of people making their way over here. We got a lot of Chinese fans in the audience, but they might not like what's about to happen, as it looks like 17 Gaming and 4AM both positioning to maybe try to fight themselves in just a second.
Yeah, we'll see if 17 tries to cross that bridge or if they're going to find another way to get through. They might be content to just wait out the next circle, see what happens. NIP and AW, like you were saying, they're content to take some blue damage. STK as well, as they're making very late rotations into the circle. Envy is coming in on the east side.
I will say all resources are committed over towards the west. The circle shift pays off for everybody that's over towards the west. You can see that eastern bridge wide out in the open, but a ton of teams all stacked up on top of each other. And here we go. VSG slowly encroaching up, making their way right up next to General. General seems to be aware of it, but not in a strong defensive position. We talk about controlling your territory. Look at this. He's just let them walk right up on top of him. Now finally pops up and takes down Starlord on a nice shot from here. But on the other side of this, we do have the 2 Chinese teams that are starting to mix it up. 4AM is making a push off to the side, and that's going to be ZGG. On the other side, it's going to be Damage taking a couple of shots back over on this.
Yeah, there are only 2 members of AG here versus 3 members of VSG. Hulk and Dangche trying to come in. DMG looking to land a grenade in there, but he's taking a lot of damage from Dangche. General as well, having to heal up. Hulk and Dangche in the bottom of this 2-story building, looking to see if they can push up onto General.
General did get a little bit of control off that fight, taking down Star-Lord so quickly. Turn this into a 2v2. There's Juanita way off in the distance that's providing some type of support, but it's allowed the two members from Armory Gaming to kind of play around this. Looks like DMG knows where they're at, trying to go for a little sneaky grenade through here, trying to bounce it off the other side. Juanita, though, he might be able to sneak up on the side of this. We're going to have to see if anybody keeps an eye onto it. General's got, you can see flashbangs, everything's going off inside there. There we go. Finally, the grenade does connect. So now General has more and more control, but it's the time that Hulk actually managed to make a little bit more of an approach on the outside. Is General aware? Are we going to see any type of sneaky play? Because remember, Juanita's out here, and that's going to be the down onto him. Duckman's trying to make his push over there to provide some type of support.
Yeah, Juanita doing a great job supporting his team. This is Juanita's typical role. He'll sit in the back and be the sniper for the team. They're trying to get the res onto Dangche, but DMG and Hanboy are hard pushing into the door. Looks like they're going to breach. Can they get in there in time? No, the res will come off. Dangche is up. Hulk with a nice knock, but Hanboy gets Dangche in the exchange.
Hanboy now taking a lot of damage, retreating back. There was a little bit of a skirmish back and forth between that, but he knows he needs to get the first aid up. Duckmans has not yet made it over here, and I don't even think is on the move. He's too surrounded. So this is just a 1v2 at the time. Hulk's along the outside of this. A couple of shots now coming out from Hanboy, aware of where Hulk is at. He's just trying to get a read, expecting another push from the other side of it, and is aware of it. Tries to go for the shots on Anita, but it does not matter as he goes down.
Wow, almost catching the members of VSG completely off guard there was Hanboy, but a nice turn there from Hulk and Juanita to get this finished. So far for AG, not the start they wanted. It's just Duckman's left all alone in the military base.
Let's give a shout out to Aerowolf 1, who's finally going to make it inside the safe zone. They've been outside the blue for quite a while now, but you're just going to see a couple of polish-offs coming into play now, and yeah, everybody's just kind of comfortable at this stage. I'm kind of curious. With a circle like this, we have to assume it's going to stay military based, but it keeps kind of wanting to look like it wants to go over near that bridge.
It could do it. There's still plenty of land up there on the top. I mean, and if it hard shifts like that, it is going to be crazy, and a lot of people are going to die really fast around like the 5th or 6th phase because it's going to be so many people trying to cross the water. It's so hard to make it back across because all the boats have been used, and you got to swim.
You have to remember, we are playing with competitive circles, so at a certain point, it's going to try to shift away from the water. That's one of the rules that's kind of integrated into the system. But with the canal running right through the middle of this, there's not anywhere it could really go. So it's just going to try to choose the best option. So here we go. We've got Envy making the run over to the side of it. Shoot to kill. You can see out inside the blue, just living the life at this point. They don't even remember what it's like not to have a fuzzy screen. New circle does pop up and still keeps the canal inside of it. This is going to pay off really big for Team Liquid and AFF.
Yeah, AFF here in a very nice position. Entis Force immediately rotating with their vehicles. Incognito on foot, Envy on foot as well. STK making their way in, and a lot of teams making the hard rotations. This is going to be a lot of chaos coming up here because there is not a lot of land left on the southern edge of the circle.
These hills just north of Military Base are going to be where a lot of action is happening, and there are so many like peaks and valleys around this location, so many little sneaky places that teams can kind of hide out in whenever they've had damage done to them. It's going to be a vying and aim contest. A lot of peak battles are going to start coming into play very quickly, and keep in mind, we still have 58 people alive in a circle this small with this much of it taken up by the canal right through the middle of it. I gotta say, 17 Gaming and Airwolves they get paid off for taking so long to come into this. The only problem with it is they kind of bumped into each other up there.
Yeah, absolutely. 17 Gaming, I wouldn't be too surprised if they maybe make a little bit of an aggressive push onto Aerowolves if they feel like it. You could see Monkey King setting up there if you could see the map. But now we're back with Incognito and SDK. They are fighting, and ooh, Alo landing some nice shots onto Ronin.
So with this, you can see Shoot to Kill needs to make their way inside the safe zone. Incognito in a little bit of a gatekeeping position. There was a little bit of an exchange back and forth. Keep in mind, they're just coming in from the blue, so they've had a lot of damage. They've had to burn through some meds, but they're just instead going to go for a little bit of a reposition, leave Uncivil back behind them, and again, use the terrain to their advantage. Meanwhile, Tempo Storm and it's going to be Liquid have bumped into each other. Looks like it's going to be Tempo Storm trying to encroach right up over to where Team Liquid has been playing at. Grenades are starting to come back and forth between them, and a nice grenade coming out from your boy Dre is going to take down Samty. It's still a peak battle right along those walls. That's why everybody loves playing this position, but Samty is getting flushed out very quickly, and there we go. Now we're in a 3v4 situation, but it's going to be 4 a.m. taking some shots on the bridge from the other side of this. That's going to get the down onto Malou. Luke, the third party is starting to come in pretty strong, as even all the way across the canal, it's going to be 17 Gaming taking some shots.
And this is 4AM's moment. They heard the shots. They were waiting for this opportunity to try to cross the bridge. But Winstrike has now moved up into this as well, trying to get in on this third party.
And let's throw in Cloud9 too. Cloud9's now moving into a high ground position to overlook this fight. This is a lot of high quality teams all starting to look at each other. A long grenade trying to go back out over towards Tempo Storm. It's going to roll right up into it, and good Lord, Nookie, what a throw!
Nookie with the absolute massive grenade here. Now they've got the other two members of Tempo Storm underneath the bridge. Taking a little bit of damage is Nookie. Looks like Duckman's got a kill in the background.
Cloud9's now in position, is starting to shoot at Winstrike. You can see Nookie's on almost no life. This is starting to turn really bad for them. They have no cover. They have to jump down potentially right into the arms of Team Liquid and the remnants of Tempo Storm just sitting there.
I love the positioning here from Cloud9. They have the high ground. They can see what all these teams are doing, and they're able to cut them off for now. 4AM trying to get up on through this bridge. They're taking a little bit of blue damage in the back end is Gavi, but he's actually in now. So this is a big fight here. Winstrike trying to push down and finish off Tempo Storm, who is hiding under the bridge.
So Winstrike making their push. They've got 4AM up above them, but it's Tempo Storm off to the side. Your boy Dre goes down. Now just one member of Tempo Storm alive, and that's going to be Sharky. He is just hiding behind this pillar, praying nobody looks his direction. A lot of damage has now come out, but Team Liquid taking the shots back over towards 4AM. Everybody is kind of covering each other at this point, with Cloud9 up on the top of the hill, just overseeing everything. Damage comes out from a nice grenade coming out from ZGG. Grenades have been just so detrimental to so many different teams inside this fight. Sharky goes down as well, getting taken out by 4AM. 4AM has the positioning up on the top of this, and it is paying off.
4AM with a great push across the bridge. That is such a difficult thing to do in competitive PUBG, and they are making it work. They are absolutely tearing through these teams that were gatekeeping the bridge. Nookie, though, getting a nice knock on to Godby. Godby taking a lot of damage, but no, it'll be Loeb stealing the kill.
So with this, you can see Nookie, the last member alive for Winstrike. 4 kills that he has got right now, but he is doing a great job of holding everybody out. On the other side of this, you can see it's going to be Miraku getting down and flushed. VSG is trying to get a couple of shots off, but you can see now Captain's just trying to make the run through the gauntlet of teams that are just lined up here, and everybody just keeps spinning back over towards him. He makes it through the first one. Is he going to be able to make it over to ZGG? Yes, just barely.
4AM trying to run this gauntlet, barely getting through, but taking a lot of damage. Now they just have this shack to work with. That's a really dangerous position to be in. You can see Team Liquid trying to find a way to work along the beach. 17 and Arrowwolves up on the top there, trying to come across the river, but it's so difficult to do.
I feel bad because the moment that they make landfall, everybody's going to go, hey, what's going on over there? And it's just going to be like trying to storm the Normandy beaches over there. It's going to be rough. So I got a little bit of separation out. You can see them making their swim over. Down towards the south, we still have Incognito, VSG, OP Rangers, all with a couple of sight lines back over towards each other. You can see YK Kamukau in a very rough spot. Did get the down onto Juanita, so that's going to give him a little bit more cover. And look at this. Mental walks up and says, hey, thanks for the down onto that. I'll just go ahead and take that point that's sitting over there. YK Kamukau is inside the safe zone, so really, everybody's kind of in a position, but OP Rangers have that high ground spot. We talked about these hills, the valleys that come into play, so many little sneaky places to hide with these trees just blocking line of sight.
And OP Rangers is comfortable to let Mental watch this angle by himself. He's got YK Kamukau and Hulk down there. DG and Babo are just checking the western flanks to make sure everything is okay. Envy here up on the northeastern edge of the circle, playing gatekeepers to the other team, but oh my goodness, 17 has gotten across the land first, and they are making the Arrowwolves pay. Venerated trying to land some shots onto 17 as they get onto the beach.
So 17 does manage to make landfall first, but you can see everybody's looking back this direction as the firefight happens. Envy's just trying to mop up what kills they can. You can see X gone way out over there on the other side, but we got Show just walking up and forward, and 17 Gaming is coming up big. They're getting the downs, but they can't get the flushes off of it, as again, it's going to be another third party from Cloud9 just popping them right in the face. Monkey King does manage to crawl forward and make it right up there next to that tree, but again, you got James just kind of hiding out next to a car, 4AM under a lot of duress. Abyss is just going to go ahead and casually shop next to this crate right now, get himself a nice toy to work with, still looking for Monkey King.
Yeah, he's got that AWM now. We'll see what Ibiza can do with it. He's going to reposition in this UAZ. He doesn't like being out on that beach, and I do not blame him. there is not much cover out them for him. Trying to regroup with his teammate James. You've got Envy here looking onto a Freak of Freaks Fatal. Not much to see there for Moody. He's trying to find an angle onto Lambu, but that Shaq is covering the angle pretty well.
We've got Envy that has strong control over towards the east. Down to the south, it seems to be OP Rangers. Towards the west, it's been Cloud9 that's just kind of third-partying into everything. So a lot of very damaged teams just spread across the other parts of the circle. I mean, we do have Intis Force that's also been very quietly hiding out inside of their buildings, but they're going to have to move in just a second. You can see a lot of teams already looking their direction. So with the amount of downs that we've seen Cloud9 getting, they haven't been able to get the flushes off of it. I think that that's a very important thing to keep in mind. We're seeing a lot of teams do a lot of damage, but not necessarily walk away with the kills.
Yeah, we saw Loeb steal that kill early on, about 3 circles ago, and now that's all they've got. They've got that 1 point in the circle.
Oh no, Waikikamukow.
Uh-oh.
He's hiding out. Looks like Forrest is kind of caught up looking up towards Rangers right now. Waikakamukow's like, yes, just keep looking to the north. Nothing here. Oh, he does spot out one of them, so spins back around. Now he has a fight of his life. He gets it down onto 2, but it is not going to be enough. Waikikamukow and Incognito go out.
And this is really dangerous for Forrest. They've got the OP Rangers moving towards them. They heard that battle. Meanwhile, Envy trying to get onto Monkey King. Monkey King does go down, and that will be 17 Gaming eliminated in 9th place outside of the points.
4AM just hiding out in this. Well, I can't even call it hiding out in this shack. It is violent inside this shack. They're taking any shots that they can. Intis Force, OP Rangers starting to get a little bit more back and forth with each other. Both need to move a little bit further forward. OP Rangers does have a little bit of an inside position that they can move, but Cloud9 is right back behind them. Looks like they're going down inside the valley. Might sneak up right up next to OP Rangers, so that could put them in a very pincered position as they're going to have Cloud9 on one side and Force on the other.
Yeah, and Windstrike Nookie, the last member, survivor. Then Babo goes down here. It's the battle between Force and OP Gaming Rangers. Kale down for Force, so it's a 1v1 trade, but the confirmed kill does happen on Babo.
So Song Yang's going for a little bit of a reposition off on this. You can see on the mini-map, Cloud9 slowly encroaching back behind this. OP Rangers very caught up in the fight with Intis Force, but it's actually going to be Envy taking a couple of shots into this as well. So Force turning into a little bit of a bad position. This could be very detrimental for both these teams as they were just trying to hide across the high ground. It depends on if Cloud9 decides to push up on top of this hill or not. Nice shots coming out from Tamari. It's going to take down Yak. I got to say, it looks like Force is starting to come apart here. They don't really have enough control over the area around them. Nice nades are starting to roll back down and through, just trying to cut through the smoke, see if they can get any downs off of it. Indigo's at about half-life. Sun King's just trying to step forward. But there you go. Finally, Cloud9 steps up, takes a couple of shots back over towards Tamari and gets it down in the flush over. Also looking back towards Mental. Mental's trying to get the grenades off. Doesn't even have the gun out at the time. Nurse still holding the other angle on top of it. So now OP Rangers in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, OP Rangers now getting sandwiched here. They weren't able to make the push on Enter's Force fast enough. Profi coming up here, trying to find the angle onto Mental. Mental running through the smoke down the hill. They're OP Gaming Rangers. Oh no, Mental getting taken down here by Indigo. They return the favor. Sungjung trying to hear up. The last member standing here for Enter's Force. One member for OP Gaming Rangers as well. C9 trying to capitalize on this opportunity.
Cloud9 has the top of the hill, and you can see the damage has been done to these two squads. Sung Yang's trying to think if he can go for the res, and no, it's just going to be an approach right off the side of it, so OP Rangers does manage to take them down. Smoke wall back behind him, giving him a little bit more cover, but keep in mind, he's got nowhere to go. We've got Envy on the other side taking shots at him. He's got Cloud9 on the other side, but Cloud9's going to have to move in just a second. Circle's starting to come through, so now we're going to have to see, how does this play out with him? Does OP Rangers, do they manage to survive for just a little bit longer? We are down to 7 teams and 17 alive, and I gotta say, it feels like Envy is just taking more and more control over the circle. You can see Team Liquid is just trying to get away from them.
Envy cutting off the northern edge of the circle, but AFF with a night 2 split. Ooh, Captain getting the knock onto Ibiza there. James trying to protect him. It looks like Nookie gets a knock onto 4AM Captain though in the back line.
4AM, when you push them into a corner, they push back as hard as they possibly can. James has got, trying to find some type of angle back over towards ZGG, but it's actually Nookie on the other side of it, taking a couple of shots into the smoke. We've got a little bit of a 1v1 playing out on the side of it. A lot of solos just kind of hanging out over here. But look, Venerated here's what's happening, going for a reposition, knows where James is at, and James is still having to play defensively around where ZGG is, and there you go. Envy just walks up, takes that kill right away from 4AM.
Nice push here by Envy. They continue to solidify their control of the northern edge of the circle. The problem for them is going to be AFF, who controls the compounds remaining in this circle. What a 2-2 split from them here to maintain this area of the circle. Lambo, you can see, has actually got a mutant on him. DG98, the hero here for OP Gaming Rangers, once again, time and time again, he's the last member standing, but he's taking some damage.
The problem with it is where we see Shadow and his partner at, there's not a lot of good sight lines for what's around them inside those buildings, so they do have a nice control point, but they don't have the capabilities to defend it too well. That's kind of why we've been seeing Envy kind of take more and more control over the circle. The 2-2 split is paying off for her, but if you look, Envy has the entirety of the north to themselves. The problem with it is the north is where there's not a lot of cover at.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's nice to have the compounds, of course, because it gives you a defender's advantage. But Shadow, he's trying to look up on the hill. Lambu is calling out the shots for his teammates, landing a few shots with those mutant onto the members of C9. Nerf, Profi, those guys trying to get the return fire coming down. Shadow trying to get some shots on the Nerf. He's landing and he gets the knock.
Nice shots coming through. As you can see how hard it is to see from these complexes. Nerf does go down and get flushed. Cloud9 still trying to make their way down and forward, and it looks like they've decided that they're just going to push right up into it. Look at the smokes right up in front of Shadow. That's some nice play that's coming through. This circle has popped, and it's definitely going to favor Fatal as they are right in the middle of everything. Envy's trying to make their crawl up and forward, very aware of where ZGG is at, so going to have to keep an eye on how these repositions come into play.
A huge knock there by Pat Caps onto NN with that bolt action sniper. Nookie with 5 kills of his own, absolutely doing work here for Windstrike, but Lambu does confirm the kill onto Lobes. Nookie is not quite able to get through with that. DG98 still alive, getting some shots on the Profi, doing a lot of damage, but not quite able to get the knock. Oh, he gets it now.
Gets a little bit of vengeance back for what was happening before. OP Rangers managing to take down Cloud9, but it's almost like it's mutually assured destruction down towards the south. We've got Nookie in one spot, and you got on the other side of it, it's going to be DG. AFF still just holding the middle and down towards the south. Envy up towards the north, playing along those trees, and 4 AM still having 1 member up with ZGG.
Yeah, this is crazy. There's 3 teams with 1 member and 2 teams with 4 members up, so it definitely feels like this is Envy or AFF's games to win, but the other 3 teams, they're looking to battle now. ZG has the angle on the Nookie, not quite able to get it, trying to get the quick scope, doesn't do it, Nookie turns it around.
Wow, Nookie with some nice shots, doing a little bit of a juke there, but here's the problem. Envy heard the shots going back and forth, has an idea on where both those solos are at. You can see Venerated's just doing the hop up around, seeing if maybe he can get any sights onto some heads, take a couple of shots, and there you go. He's going to see Nookie now go for the reposition on it. It's just a matter of who hits the shots, and it's going to be AFF's Lambu on the other side. Nice thing to know, though, you can see the fact that it's going to be AFF that hit them, and he goes, nah, I don't want to go that direction, so I'm going to come back around here. Now, down to a solid 2 teams, 4v4 between North America on one side of it, and we got Korea on the other side of it. So here we go. Let's see how this plays out.
We couldn't have scripted this better matchup for our first match of the day. I am really excited for this. I love Envy's position here. They're really fanned out. They're trying to control as much of this circle as they can. AFF trying to prevent them from rotating, but like you said, the sight lines aren't super great for AFF outside of this territory, but this circle is going right on top of NN in style.
So now it's going to be Envy. We talked about this. Not a lot of cover around these areas. A couple of little dips that they can play around. But Moody in a nice spot trying to get some damage onto them. You can see the sight lines. Those windows are so small, so you have to go for a very dangerous peek to get any information. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see AFF. Yeah, you can see Lambu, Shadow. They're starting to go for a reposition. Lambu could be somebody we have to keep an eye on. You can see him off to the right there. Looks like he's trying to flank around the outside, right along the circle, see if maybe he can get anything off of it. Grenade's going to go out, but it's probably going to land a little bit short, depending on if Venerated actually runs up next to it. But there you go. It's going to be Envy slowly making their way forward. Look at the smoke wall that they have out in front of them just to block any sight line, so that way they can go forward and start to go for the breach. They're turning the building into a trap.
Brilliant smokes here coming out from Envy. This is something you want to do if you want to breach a compound late game in PUBG. The best way to cut off vision is to put the smokes right on top of the building. NN and Style know this. They got to get out of this building. They don't know where Envy is coming from, so they don't want to fight them if they don't have to until they see the sight lines, until they get the information from Shadow. Landing some nice shots over onto Moody.
But it's too late. Those flanks that they were trying to go for, they're no longer of any worth, as Envy has managed to regroup right into the face of the other ones. And now you can see Moody looking back over towards Shadow. It's kind of starting to separate out Freak of Freaks to a certain degree, and Venerated just walks forward, does a little bit of damage. Taro still holding this angle, seeing if anybody's going to go around to the right side. It's just more and more control around this building, and it's almost like a game of Ring Around the Rosie at this point. They're just trying to spot each other out as they make the rotation to one side of the building or the other.
Yeah, Lambu keeps trying to find a flank here for the Afrika Freaks Fatal team. He hasn't quite been able to get an angle yet. Shadow here looking to see what he can find. Style as well, just trying to see if he can peek out and catch one of the members of Envy who's hanging out outside of this fence. As they move around, he can hear Interrogate, but so far, he tries to the front, but he's not. He gets the knock onto Interrogate.
But Style goes down as well, so that's a 1v1 back and forth. Moody's still just trying to hold out Shadow on the other angle. The little bit of a flank coming out from Lambu on the other side of it is starting to pay off more and more, but puts him in a risky position. Remember, we are in the very last circle. Shadow hits a nice shot onto the other side of it. It's going to be Invenerated taking a lot of damage as well. So it's starting to be a little bit of a problem. Really, it's just Taro and Venerated trying to get their life back up as teammates are crawling back over towards them. You can see Lambu and Shadow making their way forward. But here's the thing. Envy holds the center of the circle. That's where everything is going to condense down to. Now those flankers from AFF, they have to make their way up and forward. Envy's trying to see if they can get any nice angle for it. But again, these buildings don't have good sight lines. Here comes the 2-2 push right down on the side of it. Can they get any angle off to the side? It's going to be Venerated taking some shots back over towards Shadow. Going to force him back around this angle. And Envy is just getting more and more control over the building. Deciding to step around for it. They know they got the damage. The spray comes through. Beautiful play coming out from Venerated. Can he get the shots back? No! Style shuts it down, and here we go. It's going to be Taro walking around trying to find the last member. And is this going to be is this a res on both sides?
I don't know. Style here, he is so low on health. I'm really shocked that Interrogate isn't trying to take advantage of this. Of course he wants to get the revive. They get the revive up. So does AFF. Interrogate coming around the side of the building. He tries to pre-fire. Style doesn't bait. Style is being very patient here. He's waiting. He gets the knock. AFF takes game number 1.
They go for the aggressive play, and it backfires. A Freak of Freaks Fatal coming up with 7 kills and a round victory.
My goodness, that was so close. Both teams playing that so well. Envy doing a great job smoking to get up to that compound, putting the pressure on the Fatal. Fatal sending Lambu and Shadow around to cover the flanks. That could have gone either way.
That was such a great mind game battle there. I mean, we had the smokes against the building to give them an ability to approach. So Envy managed to get right up next to Freak of Freaks. Then Freak of Freaks managed to do that 2 split with the snipers off on the side angles. It was just so beautiful to watch.
I mean, that was so well executed by both teams. I am just so impressed with how they both approached that situation. Textbook play from both teams, and it just came down to skill at the end. Who could land those shots? Style was able to bait Interrogate out, wait for Interrogate to give his position away by pre-firing, and then he came around the corner and took advantage of it.
Can we give a shout out as well to Windstrike? Somehow Nookie managed to survive into 3rd place. We saw that bloodbath that was around the bridge at the start of this game where it just decimated a ton of teams. Somehow he managed to survive through that, fight his way along the side of it, and the other contenders inside that 4 AM comes in 4th as well.
Yeah, it was crazy. Well, guys, we got to jump to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have an interview with Freya. Stay tuned.
What is up, everybody? I am down here with some of the boys from ENTS, and we're here to talk about the FACEIT platform and PUBG. So, guys, what do you enjoy so much about playing PUBG on the FACEIT platform?
It's really like competitive versus like PUBG like in normal PUBG. Like it's just totally like different like idea about the game because like more people like try hard and want to survive more. So it's actually like great individual practice and you can play with friends. So it's really good.
How often do you guys use FACEIT to play PUBG?
I mean, basically when we're home, basically daily, 5-6 times a week, pretty much.
So how do you think FACEIT has changed the competitive PUBG scene?
A lot, like because like when it started, like there wasn't that many players, but like I think it's growing like really rapidly, and now like there's so many like Finnish great players that have like recently found in like FACEIT, so it's really great.
What are the main differences between playing normal PUBG and then playing it on the FACEIT platform?
It's more competitive. Yeah. I think that's the main thing why everyone is playing it, the higher level of a gameplay. I think that's it.
What is your favorite weapon to use on FACEIT?
My guns, Mini 14 and M4, definitely.
Mini 4 and M4, I would say, and then I don't know, whatever plays is good for the plane. Everything goes.
And if you want to be as good as the ENTS boys at PUBG, head over to fce.gg/PUBG to play with some of the best PUBG players around the world.
See you in FACEIT, boys and girls.
Easy for ENTS.
Hey James, have you seen my keyboard anywhere? I'm trying to log on to FACEIT so I can get my drops tomorrow, but it's missing. No? Well, I mean, all right, I'll check the desk.
Welcome back to the FACEIT Global Summit, where I am joined by NN from the winning side of Africa Freaks. Now, that was an incredible game, but I want to go to that final fight against Envy. It looked like they had the advantage at one point. How did you manage to turn it around?
그 마지막 게임에서 엔비가 이제 앞서 있던 걸로 이제 거의 느껴졌는데 마지막에 어떻게 대처를 하셨는지.
마지막에 이제 점자기장인 걸 알고 이제 집 벽에 붙었다는 걸 이제 알고 있어가지고 이제 그거에 맞서서 대처를 하려고 이제 했는데 생각보다 총을 잘 쏘더라고요. 그래가지고 좀 당황했는데 그래도 그 전에 맞춰둔 거대로 하니까는 가볍게 좀 막은 것 같아요.
They were right next to the walls of the house, so they knew that they probably had their location sorted, but they were kind of surprised and taken aback that Envy were pretty good at shooting, but they kept calm and they went right through their plan.
Well, it definitely worked out. I mean, we saw Envy yesterday. You guys had a day off yesterday. Did you have any particular plans or preparations in place for them?
어제 이제 다른 분들은 엔비를 보셨는데 이제 쉬시고 있었잖아요.
네.
혹시 TV로 보셨을 때 그 느낌이 엔비 보시고 있었을 때
네.
느낌이 어떠셨나요?
굉장히 잘하는 팀이라 생각하고 여기 온 모든 팀들이 각자 나라에서 대표를 할 만큼 실력이 있다고 생각을 해서 NB 팀을 제외하고도 모든 팀이 저는 잘한다 생각을 해서 그에 맞게 저희도 연습을 하고 있습니다. 다 잘하는 것 같아요.
They watched Envy from the practice room and they thought they're really good, but I mean every team in this entire tournament is fantastic. So I mean we're trying to live up to that standard as well.
Well, you definitely did live up to that standard, and we love it. We saw that military base end zone. How did you guys approach that? Because that happened from the first circle. What was your plan approaching that zone?
마지막에 이제 밀배에서 끝났는데 그 마지막 서클까지 어떤 생각을 하고 계셨는지.
밀배 서클 때 저 자리가 저희가 자주 애용하는 자리이기 때문에 별로 딱히 그거에 대한 플랜은 없었고 그냥 저희가 자주 애용했던 자리이기 때문에 그대로 있는 그대로 했어서 결과가 그대로 나온 것 같아요.
We use that area quite often, so for us it wasn't really a plan, but we're quite used to the entire regime anyway. So yeah, that's what happened.
Well, congratulations again on that fantastic win. I hope you can keep up the form going forward. We've got 5 games left, but before we head into that, let's head back over to the desk.
That's right, Africa Freaks land the fatal blow here as they're able to dispatch of the rest of the lobby in extremely strong fashion, with Envy being their final victim. Really, really strong start for Africa Freaks, especially after them coming off being 4th place in the group stage, the actual highest positioned Korean team to be able to come through here in the PKL when it comes to the group stages.
And also benefiting from this military circle here. They loot in the kind of the G2 area between the 2 bridges on the southern side of the big island, and then take boats, get on into that area. When we see the 3rd circle pop, they take all that area, make sure it's occupied so they have it really strong down. And that was a really well played from them. And also how they kind of, towards the end, pushed and then got together. I was actually expecting them to go full 4 versus 2 against Envy there in the end.
It was a phenomenal game. The Freaks have been released from the leash. They are going to be unstoppable at this point with such a strong start. Huge start by Envy. But here's my big takeaway from that match, James. 5 out of the 8 teams who qualified from the group stages right away for today finished in worse than 10th position.
Yeah.
So literally the teams that were sort of the big threats, maybe there is something to taking a day off because they came in cold and they finished, well, really not very well.
So, I mean, no thoughtless scheming in the end from Africa Freaks as they were able to take the right compounds and allow the circles to come to them. Here, let's take a look at some of the highlights here. Nuki, by the way, 6 kills, and Team Windstrike got themselves 6 kills. So Nuki was putting in work for their team.
Nuki, the top fragger here, he actually got 6 kills, as you said. Number 2 is DG98 and Interrogate and ZG from POEM. All of them got 4 kills there, so he really fragged out and managing to get a top 3. I did not expect that from Windstrike because we saw that Western fight for so long here and everything just went bad for everyone except Windstrike.
Absolutely, and I'm excited about it as we move forward here. You see teams sort of falling down one by one, and we get to what is probably one of the best 4v4s that we have had so far in the entire tournament.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the way that these teams fought out, but the hard part was getting there, and we'll give some shout outs to teams along the way. OP Rangers were watching DG98 line up that perfect shot. They did manage to get 8 kills on the best start with a big fight with Armory, but they sort of kept that momentum going the whole way through. 4th place got 7 kills, 3rd place got 6. So the top half of this, it was a real war zone. Everyone who made it to the top had to fight tooth and nail to get there. and then we get to the final fight between these guys.
And here with the full 4 versus 4 here, I did not expect to go like this, but Interrogate managed with 10 HP to get a knock and counter knock it, and Venerated pushed around, actually got 2 knocks here, and then went back into the house to get a res off. Style pushed him and knocked him. Interrogate, he got off a knock with that.
And that's from NVIDIA. Ultimately, though, I think that we could probably focus on that last fight for a long time, considering everything that's going on. Even small things like when you're peeking, then leaning to be able to transfer the spray just that little bit extra quickly. It's really, really exciting to see that kind of 4v4 go down. In fact, in my mind, one of the best fights of the entire tournament so far.
I love seeing 4v4s. It's kind of there where when you're completely ready, there's no advantage to one team besides then position and strategy and kind of your mechanical skills going into that. And that's what I really love from kind of breaking down, especially like a house fight like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love the low-key banter coming out of Freaks. They're like, well, we didn't expect Envy to shoot that well. And part of that was Venerated. Venerated is a phenomenal player, and that double player transfer, they peaked correctly. When Freaks turned that corner to fight Venerated, they had a wide peeker and a short peeker, and he managed to perfectly control that spray, get the double knock. But at the end of the day, it was a crazy fight because everyone got knocked, everybody got rezzed, they reset and redid it, and it was just phenomenal plays, execution start to finish. I'm sure the X Factor, I'm sure replays going forward, all of these are going to be breaking down how perfect that fight was.
I'm going to play out devil's advocate for a moment here, though, and say the circles did come to Africa Freaks. They were in those compounds for a long time, but they made the most of it, and they won the fights when they came to them.
I mean, they came in from the northern side, they took boats here, and took that area, and they actually moved twice. So in the first circle, they were further west. The circle popped a bit to the east, and then they moved again, and they actually moved 2 very important times, which was when the third circle popped, then they saw this combat is important, and this kind of house is important, and they locked that for a downfall a very long time.
And that's something that I think can't be overstated. So the circle closed, they took those compounds, 2 compounds, gave them a high percentage chance of getting whatever the next circle shift was going to be. More importantly, he said, we play this area regularly. They knew that the southern house that they were holding across the road was the only way to defend the house that ultimately became sort of the big defense that let them win this game. So because of their knowledge of the area, their quick movement from mainland to Sosnovka, and be willing to take something that they were comfortable with, yes, they got a few circles, but I think that they earned the win, and we cannot downplay that at all.
My question is who do I have to blame? How did we start on a military? Is it your fault? Is this why we started on a military circle? But all of the rotation choices that all of these teams had to face were kind of a bit turbulent, to say the least.
I mean, I actually expected more boats to come in hand here, but we saw so many teams cross the bridge and not get camped, and that's kind of, I think it's a testament to how important it is to get in a good position in these hard circles. Obviously also we saw 4AM and 17 Gaming stay on the northern side for some time, and they were forced to swim in together with Arrow of One. But happy to see this also in the interview. Really love to hear that they say, we saw Envy in the practice room, and they were actually really good. So kind of the mutual respect here, I really love to see that.
Also a little bit of scouting going on, apparently. They kind of snuck in like, hey, you guys practicing? Let us check this out. But I know that a lot of teams watch each other's streams. Like, they definitely do sort of that scout. But I want to give a shout out to the speed of rotation in this match. People learned their lesson yesterday. We had people in cars across the bridge. Armory decided to just change their loot spot once they saw where the circle was. And in fact, I believe 17 and 4M were looking for some bridge camps. And they got there quickly, but everyone had already crossed.
Well, gentlemen, we've heard from our winners in Africa Freaks. However, Frankie is ready to interrogate our next interviewer.
Nice.
Loving what you did there, Kalaris. Yes, of course, I'm with Interrogate for Envy, the last man standing for the NA squad. But first of all, I want to talk about your reaction to the circle, because you guys were looting up in Yasnaya. You had quite a long journey.
Yeah, looting Yasnaya is always pretty difficult to get on the military island, so we were a little shocked, and obviously we don't want that, but yeah, we managed to do a nice rotate and got in the circle in a great spot.
Were you worried, though, that you'd be late to the action? Because there was so much third-partying going on. 4AM, I'm looking at you, boys. So were you concerned you wouldn't get the kill points you needed?
No, we were actually third-partying a lot as well. So we were on like the hills and the ridges, just shooting people across the street and stuff. So we were getting our fair share of kills.
Was it quite satisfying to wipe Liquid? Well, I say wipe Liquid. You wiped out Jeems, and that was the end of Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to kill Liquid.
And let's talk about your set pieces. That was the thing to me. It was one of the first times in PUBG I've seen something that looked so calculated. When Phase 7 came in, the four of you spread out the top of that circle. Did you know where the circle was going to end at that point?
We had a pretty good idea that we needed to push that house there. So yeah, we just controlled the outside, and then we threw our smokes to block the windows and all that, and made a plan to push the house.
Were you trying to bait out any nades that Afrika might have?
Yeah, we were definitely worried about nades. Being so close to the house, they could throw them on the sides, and yeah, that was definitely scary, but they managed to miss their nades, I guess.
And talk to me then about that final fight, because it was such a close one for you. And of course, I need to ask why you decided to do the res on Pat Caps.
Well, Pat said that he was a safe res, and I figured since they're all outside the house and no windows had vision of me, that I could just go for the quick res, and we could take the 2v1. But unfortunately, we just couldn't land the shots at the end, and yeah, they got the best of us.
If you hadn't gone to the res, would you have got that chicken dinner?
No, I think the res was a pretty smart play. Yeah, I think we just had a little bit of miscommunication and a little bit of misplay, and just got second.
Well, Tara, congratulations. Second out of 16 teams on your first round of the grand final is not bad at all, and 7 kills to boot as well. Thank you so much for talking to me. We need to take a short break. What did you think of that performance? Let us know using the hashtag FACEIT Global Summit, and we'll see you on the other side.